Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, friends, colleagues, supporters. Thank you very much for coming out to the Civic Center this afternoon for an exploration of art, meditation, and the process of awakening with Khenpo Orgyen Chowang Rinpoche. We are very fortunate this afternoon to have Rinpoche, meditation master from the Nyingma lineage, here in the Bay Area with us, where he teaches the techniques, the perspectives, and perhaps you might even say philosophies, although Rinpoche might have something to say about that, that inform Buddhist meditative practice. Rinpoche, thank you very much for coming out today. The Asian Art Museum and our community really do appreciate you being here, and for helping us to understand what I have heard you call and what I have myself called the Art of Enlightenment. Now, in a moment or two, Rinpoche is going to unpack some of Awaken's most stunning artworks for us, and he'll emphasize how everything from painting to sculptures to ritual equipment embodies some aspect of this quest to awaken from the sleep that we are pleased to call our ordinary existence. After we explore some of these objects, what we've tried to do is to leave ample time for Rinpoche to answer some of what I know will be your many questions. As you'll discover, I hope, a great deal about the most important things in this tradition come out in conversation only, and that's why we are here today. But first, it's my privilege to tell you just a little bit about Rinpoche, and I think that you will agree that his journey to where we are today and where he is today is a fascinating one. Orgyen Chowang Rinpoche is a meditation master of the Nyingma lineage from the Buddhist tradition. He grew up in a remote village in Eastern Tibet, and from an early age was interested in meditation and spirituality. And he recalls the excitement that he felt visiting his first teacher, Khenpo Depa, on a daily basis while he was building a Guru Rinpoche Padmasambhava Bhava sculpture in his hometown, and you can also see one of those in the exhibition as well. In 1983, the very same year that the film Koyaanisqatsi in the exhibition was made, Rinpoche's father went on pilgrimage to meet the great Dzogchen master, Khenpo Jigme Punsok Rinpoche, with whom he studied for 10 years at the monastery of Larungar, about which many of you have read and know about. Then, in 1990, Rinpoche became one of only 55 out of 1,000 students of Jigme Punsok Rinpoche to earn the title Khenpo, which you might think of as a Buddhist equivalent of a PhD, although a lot more so. After that, the graduates of this and subsequent classes from Larungar have traveled the world preserving the messages of this enlightened lineage. Now, in 1995, Rinpoche had the great fortune to meet with and receive teachings from a gentleman whom many of you have heard of, the great Tinlay Norbu Rinpoche. Orgyen Chowang developed a very special and deep connection to Tinlay Norbu, who personally invited him to the United States to teach. And in 1996, at Tinlay Norbu's suggestion, Orgyen Chowang came to Pema Ursuleng in the Santa Cruz Mountains of California, where he taught at the Vajrasattva Foundation for Buddhist Studies. 3 years later, he actually moved to the Bay Area, where he currently resides, and now he is helping us to understand how this powerful mind training tradition applies to our experience of our daily world. And today, in particular, how the Art of Enlightenment, as presented in Awaken, informs the quest to awaken from the sleep of ignorance. Now, one of Rinpoche's recent books and the tradition's most important insights is very simple but very powerful. It's that our minds create the matrix of experience that we live in. Now, ordinarily, we perceive this matrix of experience as divided up into subjects and objects. But from the perspective of Buddhist philosophy, such seemingly absolute distinctions are actually adventitious and circumstantial. Binary opposites don't exist by themselves. Instead, it's our minds that fabricate them. And if you think about this for just a moment, it's actually quite self-evident. After all, where is all that information you perceive as our shared space right here being processed? Right in there. And if we make our world through our minds and perceptions, a remarkable possibility presents itself. The possibility of consciously using imagery to elevate and eventually transform the nature of awareness. And that's what the imagery we're going to be talking about today does. These arts of enlightenment have a very specific purpose in contradistinction to ordinary works of art, and they transcend mere entertainment. Now, what you're looking at right here in this slide is a shrine. It's the Kandel Shrine from the Freer-Sackler Gallery in Washington, D.C. And this was understood to be a classical Tibetan home shrine that Ms. Kandel donated to the Freer-Sackler. It can indeed seem quite kaleidoscopic when you take a look at the range of artworks that are there. But a singular purpose runs through all of them. The intention to transform ordinary thoughts and emotions into awakened or enlightened states of experience. And it is precisely such art that comprises what you see in Awaken. Now, in preparation for today's discussion, Rinpoche and I sat down and selected a number of artworks that we thought you might find most revealing. And the first one that came to mind is the following image. This is called the Bhava Chakra, or Wheel of Existence. And what I know about this image just comes from texts. According to the Buddhist monastic scriptures, this is the only image that was mandated by the historical Buddha to be painted in all of his monasteries. If you look at it here or in the galleries, it's pretty stunning at first glance. But we are fortunate to have Rinpoche with us today, who may be able to help us explore this magnificent artwork cum meditation template in great detail. Rinpoche, where should we start with this image?
Yes, I think start here. You can hear me? Yes, I think I want to say a few words, then we can start here. Yeah. Orgyen Chowang Rinpoche Dongbo La Jarin Nam Trong Chong Lenjit Chanza Huishen Yon Dan Zong Bei Pan Mam Zhong Ne Daulu Pan Tsu Chong Chukenyan Bei Ni Ji Jamyong Sirong No Kason Robert Zar Zopa Dripto Dom Ming Gom Bo Hong Chen Ba Tme Ozra Jao La Surwante Nichen Ru Tsingi Jong Kam Sun Chapter Tik Jipshen Lo Yalan Jingme Penso Jao La Surwante Gong Je To Ban Pur Shingi Lo Concept that Jamyong Singye Nyingma we Pamerjo Ne Chotana Lakshap Dirti Dayong Top Janan Champer Da Yalla Khwar Surchi. Thank you, Jeff. Very wonderful introduction about. Today I like to hear introduction about this Asian Art Museum. We talk many months how we can introduce the art of enlightenment, and there's how that ancient times how they used people improve their meditation practice and also bring happiness, well-being, use their life, bring their lives, and sometimes. Especially Buddhist art, or particularly Tibetan, many different images. Most people don't know what that means. Think a culture. It's not culture. There's two different levels: ordinary culture, enlightened culture. The enlightened culture means only enlightened beings. They use these things, and this image we show. And later, and that is, these arts are meditators, yogis, monks, practitioners. They're improving their meditation. And each has particular meditations, and also bring happiness, well-being, also fulfillment to their lives. I think, therefore, if you look at ordinary art, just you have regular experience, yeah? Look at flower, some painting. But if you look at the enlightened art, if you know how to look enlightened art, bring enlightenment your mind. Therefore, whether you look at the image or sound affects your mind. Therefore, I think the real reason this image just means how do you transform your mind? Transform your mind. If you want to transform your mind, there's three different ways. First is image. Second is sound, language. Third is attitude. Create attitude like compassion, love. If these three things are usually very powerful way to transform your mind. Visual image is used in many years, hundreds of years. And then I think, for example, if you know the art, really, images, these things, you know, and their qualities, characteristics, and you look at that image, you feel different. You feel different, you experience, transforms your mind, transform your mind. But you don't know any image, you don't know the meaning, you look, you don't feel nothing, there's nothing. You look flower or like city, you have some experience, yeah? But you look something, this kind of painting, people don't know, usually they just wear experience sometimes they don't feel anything. But many years, practitioners, yogis, and monks, they look at the first note meaning of art, enlightened art. And the second time is pay attention that. If you know the art, you pay attention that affects your mind very powerfully and deeply. I know ordinarily image is very powerful, yeah? But most images have meaning because they're powerful because we know the meaning. And the meaning is powerful. For example, someone, homeless person, or you see, or like dog, or like sky, or they have different impact your mind. Similarly, if you look at them, something extraordinary image that I show, if you know this meaning, I think your suffering disappears that moment, your stress mind goes down, and then your happiness, well-being appear that moment. Therefore, that really means yogis, they're using this image. Sometimes they, 1 hour focus that image. It's meditation means you 1 hour focus that image. And you focus something extraordinary image, then you feel extraordinary experience. And that really, that's generally I'm talking about, it's not culture. Culture means, like everybody knows, but this only enlightened beings knows. We show few minutes, few images. These things, enlightened beings, yogis, and meditators, they have this kind of culture. And the first, this image, what is this is, very red head, holding the entire world, This show is called Art of Samsara. Art of Samsara means, and that red head, hold that's called represents ego. The ego is holding on the 6 rooms. The center is 6 rooms. There's human rooms, animal rooms, God rooms, hungry ghost rooms, called 6 rooms. Ego's holding all 6 rooms. And holding like that. Therefore, they usually, there are 6 rooms. And because ego is that holding, that co-represent ego is the really meaning of that. Then they understanding, if you look at this art, that means ego is control everything. They show that everything. And ego shows, ego created. And then center, there's some very center, there's bird, snake, and pig. Three things. This usually what this means, pig represents ignorance, and bird represents desire, attachment, craving, or fixation, and the snake represents anger and also hatred. And they call sometimes that they call three poisons, you know. And ego, they call ego create three poisons. Once you have ego, then there's ignorance comes, you know. And then when you have ego, then there's anger, because you just angry with others because someone did you something because you don't like. Therefore, anger creates, ego creates anger, and also ego creates craving. And that's called three. There's really very center. There's 3 things they call 3 poisons creating 6 rooms. And also everything is holding about, ego is holding everything. And this is called Art of Samsara. And that really means, if you look at this picture, the understanding about human life. Human life is, like that. And then I think usually this is, there's monasteries and temples. First you come to monastery, that's door. First you see this image, and then called Art of Samsara. And then one way you look at the image, and also you learned about samsara, you learn the world, that says, and that's really the first art, I think, called Art of Samsara. And I think therefore, first we want to feel liberation. First you want to know this Art of Samsara.
You want to know what you're going to be liberated from before
yes, exactly.
know what liberation means. Otherwise, that's sort of an empty word. It's very interesting to me to take a look at the outer rim around here and to see these 12 cartouches. Yeah, the 12 independence, there's 12 another going on. But I think a long story, I don't know if we have time like that. Everything's big in ignorance, means unknowing, unawareness, to consciousness. How samsara develops. They talk about each has represented each different images. But this is even very detailed. But that is the first in art. And I think art of this is also education of samsara, education of world, education yourself. And you can put individually. For example, that everybody has ego and all create anger, desire, jealousy. Once you anger, create desire, jealousy, they create unhappiness, sadness, anxiety. Everything comes from ego and 5 poisons. That's really this is Art of Samsara. And then around and around and around it goes.
Circle, vicious circle. Vicious circle like that. And then I think sometimes people, visually, they must learn visually. When I was young, I was looking this, details, like how and educate everyone to human life and also beyond. And then beyond this is called nirvana. And then I think we show 3 different images, another.
So Rinpoche, let me tell the visitors a little bit about this artwork, and then we can talk about who these people are. The artwork you're looking at right now is called The 3 Protectors of Tibet, and it was created by a gentleman named Tserine Sherpa, a former Bay Area artist, now back in Kathmandu. The work that you're looking at right here is the very last neo-traditional work that he created before he started creating contemporary artworks, 2 of which you will also see in Awaken downstairs. But these figures are what's really important. Rinpoche, could you tell us a little bit about these 3?
Yeah, figures, this called 3 protectors, means 3 protectors of this. And the other is And then we look at the first, we know the world, and now it's your mind is more transformed. How do you look at these three things? Look at the things. The yellow is called the Manjushri, the Bodhisattva wisdom. The second, the white one is Bodhisattva compassion, Avalokiteshvara. Third one is the blue, dark blue one is the Bodhisattva is called Vajrapani, means enlightened power. They represent wisdom, compassion, power. They represent these things. And that really means you look in art, and that really means we have human beings, external strength is, wisdom, compassion, capability appear about images like this. And that means, and then yellow one is holding sword. This sword represented is, the sword is represented called wisdom. The wisdom, then sword is very sharp. That means wisdom is cutting through all doubt, hesitations, suffering, and negativity. They call first Bodhisattva as, you have wisdom. And then people using that Bodhisattva's image, and that goal is to develop knowledge and wisdom. And that means that's become the people using and then meditating that. There's meditation, there's mental, entire practice. There's called, you develop wisdom, intelligent. And then says, you focus this Bodhisattva, you will become wise, more intelligent. And that really means, we have 3 poisons, snake, bird, and, pig. But now you have the different represent wisdom. Now how do you wisdom? The wisdom is Bodhisattva and salt. And then they're all art form, Now you're going to transform that. It means you need wisdom. The wisdom is journey enlightenment. You have enlightened wisdom, and then everyday wisdom. And that really are, the entire meditation designed to exactly this Bodhisattva wisdom of Manjushri. There's many texts and also meditations, maybe 200 pages about this practice. It's not just only image, goes with large practice together. Then ancient times, people do months, years, they do retreat of this meditation. And that. And therefore, that's Manjushri. And actually, you focus that image. You think that's embodiment wisdom, then gave you more wisdom. Then your mind is imbued with that, impact that. The artist impact your mind, You become more wise. You make good decisions. You understand in Dharma very well. You have more knowledge. That's called the first yellow one. Second is the compassion. Compassion, there's 4 arms, yes? 4 arms is representative 4 measurables. Each arm represents love, compassion, rejoice, and partiality. Therefore, that representative, there's 4 arms. Also, the Bodhisattva compassion is holding flower. The flower represents love and compassion. And therefore, the flower represents love and compassion. Therefore, anybody practice this enlightened Bodhisattva, and that person creates compassion, love. And you develop compassion art, compassion love, a good heart, and then use this image, meditating this image. And then, there's mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum. This together, using this image and doing this mantra, and then cultivate of loving compassion, they all together and then experience, develop good heart. And that really are also lengthy practice, like sometimes 300 pages about practice alone. And then ancient times, people do months, years, they do this practice, and that represents Buddhist loving compassion, and that's really our Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara. And then I think therefore, all these things are like people have right now ordinarily anger or sadness, sometimes depression, sometimes stress. The reason is we are looking always, counterproductive images, like bad news, like watching, news all the time, what's going around. You hear so many negative words heard all the time, and people's mind is disturbed. Become disturbed, create lots of fear, lots of stress, lots of anxiety. We definitely look at images. And this is, if you look this kind of image, maybe 10 minutes, you project the meaning, then all anxiety, fear, stress decrease because your mind is a different state. They use that. I think I'd also practice these places, and I give other people to practice. I have my own personal experiences. I cannot focus always news, it's very hard, difficult. But I focus 20 minutes like that, my mind has become like blue sky. Its image is very powerful when introduced to transforming the mind. And these things are very, very important. Right now, why many people have depression, why many people are sad, why many people have stress? Because what you see, you experience. Most people focus very ordinary, trivial, negative things you focus, you have these experiences. Once you change your focus, like changing the meditations, and you're not focus negative things, counterproductive things, you focus something extraordinary. If you focus something extraordinary like 20 minutes, definitely your stress goes down, your anxious goes down, your fear goes, everything, it's 20 minutes. Therefore, most people, why people right now it's difficult. People not focus something extraordinary image. They focus always distorted images, and these things are like using many years and how transform human mind. And you look not meaning like 20 minutes. Just look that, and they call that meditation. We use meditation breath. People using breath. Flower image, but breath is just ordinary object, don't have much power. This has more power because this is much powerful. Traditionally, there are 3 different ways you use meditation image. Sometimes breath, but sometimes ordinary object like flower. And third one is like this kind of image. That traditionally, this is much big impact than any other meditation focus. Because you're not focused some ordinary object here. You focus, you not meaning, and you focus the image. And I give these 3 things my favorite. This is, if you focus or you see something ordinary, and let's say you see something negative, you hear something negative, and you thinking something negative, definitely you have very negative experience, very unhappy experience. Because 3 ways you have create negative. See something negative, you hear something negative, you thinking. This way create experience, yeah? But if you thinking something positive, you see something positive, and then also you hear something positive, if you thinking something positive, these 3 ways creating positive experience. That's how, because human experience is conditional. Whether you have positive or negative, they're all conditional. Therefore, you focus 3 ways positive, you see positive something, hear something positive, you thinking something positive, there's big positive impact. But meditation go beyond. If it go beyond, it's if you focus, see something extraordinary image, you hear something extraordinary sounds, words, and then you thinking something extraordinary thought, then you have extraordinary thought. The reason people don't have extraordinary thoughts because they never focus on something extraordinary. Every day they focus something very trivial, something nothing, something not special. That's really, we say we are bored, we are bored, and how do you say, the other way is discontent. Discontent comes, we are just focused highways, like buildings, just nothing special. And then you always focus that you don't feel very passionate, You don't feel something powerful, Not powerful. But you focus something powerful, the energy creates much power. Therefore, this is called meditation, is called, you focus something extraordinary, like images like this, and you hear something extraordinary, and you thinking something extraordinary, that creates extraordinary image. That really use that. And third one is the Bodhisattva Vajrapani, and represents enlightened power or strength. That Bodhisattva, and then holding, their Vajra means Vajra. That's power. That represents power. They have many meanings also. If you start in Vajrayana teachings, there's strong meaning that there's 5. What's called that? The 5 things there.
Prongs.
5 prongs represent 5 wisdoms. 5 wisdoms, enlightened awarenesses. That's really powerful, and that really means, all human beings, what they need is wisdom, compassion, capability. Capability. Whether you live in ordinary, you need that. When you enlightenment, you need that. There are 3 different things. And that way, then this blue one gave you focus, gave you strength, power, ability. And that's the artist, create that fire. It's, the 3 protectors, and then focus 3 different meditation practices. And that way, then once you focus this practice, develop, you have wisdom, you have compassion, loving compassion, you have capability. And once you gain this capability, you're mentally, emotionally strong. And that's really about these 3 protectors. I did some brief explanation about how using these 3 protections to transform the human mind.
This seems very important and very powerful because many of us walk around going, I can't control my mind. My thoughts are just going all over the place. But this suggests that there is perhaps either a perceptual or a technological approach to actually controlling those states we understand as negative.
Yes. Yeah, negative is, you cannot control negative unless you focus something extraordinary. And that really, because mind is, how do you transform a mind? Is you see something, you hear something, they can transform your mind. But the mental events are very powerful. You need to see powerful image, or you know the meaning. And that's really the Buddhist art, enlightened art, is transform human mind. That's the only design. Therefore, the meditators previous, they're using these things. The reason is, previous, we have more happiness, more tranquility because we use these things. Now, everyone's using smartphone. Smartphone, they're, everybody goes there and forget all things. Then, what's that? They're upset, they're angry, they don't know how to connect. Right now, we are meditating smartphones every day. And, you can say first image, can you go back first image?
Yes.
No. That's the other
That
one. This
one?
is Samsara, Art of
Oh,
Samsara.
Samsara. Yeah, we can go back to Samsara anytime we
Yeah,
want.
and this is you see, and this you see in the smartphone. Yeah, this image is going on your smartphone and iPhone. That's it. There's nothing going on. Therefore, every day focus that, and that creates so much anxiety and so much disappointment. And you go to Facebook, and you're disappointed, and then you go to another realms. That means your 6 rooms and your iPod, iPhone. Everything's going like that. But then real meditation is, we focus these images and you have totally different experiences. That's my own experience, my own. I testing every day, watching smartphone and television, how I can feel. When I focus this kind of image, how I can feel, a totally different experience. 2 different focuses, totally 2 different outcomes. There's totally different outcomes. Okay.
And it doesn't get much more powerful than the next one, does it?
Yeah, nice, yes. Okay, this is the, 2 teachers, different teachers. I think first, this one is the Buddha, historical Buddha, Shakyamuni. The second one is called second Buddha, Padmasambhava. These things are very important. And first, Buddha Shakyamuni is, it's not a religious figure, but he's show path to happiness, path to enlightenment. And that really are how human mind works, how meditation, teaching, meditation, enlightenment, all these things came from original Buddha, Shakyamuni. Everybody know that. That's really are. And that's teacher, like represented, enlightened being. The second one is, like Padmasambhava. Padmasambhava is historically, Tibetan. When Tibetan, like 1,300-400 years ago, there's no everything. Tibetan is really so much going on. Don't know anything. We don't have anything. Padmasambhava came to Tibet, bought entire Tibetan Buddhist tradition, like meditation, sculptures. They call three different important things. Tibetan King Tretong Debzan, he sent in many people in India, bought Padmasambhava to Tibet. And then Padmasambhava, he bought many sculptures, many translators translated that come, called building called Samye Monastery, or also education center of Dharma. They call the Guru Padmasambhava. It's very important. We call second Buddha Padmasambhava, and also like that. And then they say that's another one. The other one is the historically Buddha Shakyamuni start, the most followers, monks, monasteries, and Padmasambhava starts yogis. Yogis come from Padmasambhava's teachings. And Buddha Shakyamuni Sutta, teaching Heart Sutta, any other stores. And Padmasambhava bring teachings about Dzogchen. Dzogchen is Padmasambhava's teachings. Therefore, there's 2 special teachers. And, I think here, traditionally very important. Okay, I think that's and there's 2 extraordinary teachers. Most people know that. And then we can go to next is more. There's more there. Next, there's 2 different images. They call this Arhat. The other is Yogi. There are 2 students came. They have 2 representatives. Arhat means like here, this image. Most Buddhas and disciples means Arhat means someone give up their life to relinquish sensory pleasures, relinquish ordinary life, and then desire, anger, jealousy, all passions relinquish, and that they call Arhat, that reach enlightenment that way. The other is yogi, and there's 80 yogis. This is the yogi. This representatives is, all sensory pleasures, like worldly pleasures, take into path without bending. Without bending, take into path, and that really could represent this yogi. And there are two different paths, two different ways, and especially this is, this is restricted. Everything is restricted, and this is represents free all bondages, called fearless. These also representatives wearing no clothes. Wearing no clothes. You see that? Wearing no clothes means that means sign is, no hopes, no fears, agitations, all cultures, everything go beyond. That call is there's no clothes. Everything go beyond. This is fully dressed, fully dressed, and also a little bit serious, yeah? Fully dressed, that means everything's restricted, more contained, not that represents these things. And then that really, I think, like mostly Theravada tradition, most follow that, Theravada tradition, and that follow that. And that is yogi tradition. We have Tibetan, that's more like yogi Malaripa. Malaripa, and like this tradition is, what there is, mostly is you have highest view, highest understanding of the actuality, and then you have free from all concepts. There's no hope, there's no fear, and go beyond that, and that represent that. Fearless symbol, and that really means, ancient times people look in these images, and they become fearless. And then fearless, and I think they have lots, entire Vajrayana teachings you can address here. And that's here, and then two different styles. One is restricted, the other is more free. It's very, beyond and human concepts that really represent that. I think there are two different ways to introduce. One is Buddha Shakyamuni representatives, Arhat, and yogi is, Padmasambhava's the students like there, and two different ways they call that. And Vajrayana, all the tantric teachings came from that.
And next, we have a couple of slides that addresses one of the things that comes up in our discussions here at the museum a great deal, which is what is the relationship between apparently peaceful deities and wrathful deities that may or may not be their counterparts. We get questions like this all the time. I wonder if you could straighten that out for us maybe a little bit.
Yeah. These things all, we just bring everything together. But what time is? How much? Okay.
We're good.
We are good. And this is, I want to go a little bit, this is the very most beautiful art. This is called, one is Vajrasattva, Buddha Vajrasattva. This is Chimcho Hiraka, we call Chimcho Hiraka. And two different ways to demonstrate enlightenment through peaceful, wrathful. Through peaceful, wrathful ways to demonstrate. And then the human beings, they says, human world, things are peaceful, things are wrath. Yeah, two things existent. Very peaceful ways, when wrathful ways. Then enlightened beings appear two different ways. There are something images, very passionate images. People have passionate, these people have passionate enlightenment. People wrathful, And for example, right now there's a disease, war, negativity, so much going on. Then wrathful appears. Wrathful tame wrathful things. Peaceful tame peaceful things. Therefore, most peaceful enlightened beings benefit peaceful way, and the wrathful benefit someone's like war, disease, famine, or like these things, and they're peaceful, wrathful practices you do. The wrathful practices, and you visualization yourself this. This is not like, for example, each these 9 heads called non-practices, called non-yanas, non-practices. There's 18 hands. They call 18 hands represents 18 different emptiness. It's not like somewhere this lived, all these things are symbolic. Symbolically like that, and then how do you do it? Then world is too chaos, like crazy in chaos. Then you meditating yourself is this wrathful image, enlightened being, and your entire meditating, and that's your mind, and then you are recite mantra, the wrathful mantra you do. Then your mind is free from all concepts, and you stay this way 20 minutes, and then you're like sometimes 20 minutes, sometimes people 2 hours, sometimes people months they practice this, and then transform that way. Therefore, and then this wrathful practice is the, like taming or negative forces. It says if negative forces, peaceful cannot tame negative forces. And negative forces are very powerful, peaceful won't work. And then appears wrathful form, and then this is the wrathful form, overwhelming experience of wrathful, and then it's overwhelms negativity. And then this practice is one of my favorite practices is wrathful ones. Once you really know the meaning, so beautiful. You need to know the first you starting, they call first you receive empowerment, they call that. And then you start in this tantra, like 300 pages, because sometimes we call Gehengarba Tantra. The meaning of each details and meditation. Once you receive that, and then you do practice. And then you do practice, and you have ability to overcome negative experiences. And that's really that. And when I was young, I was very afraid these images. I went to stone. I cannot go in temples. There's so much images. But then once I learned, they're my favorites, become my favorites. You understand what I mean? Can you say that?
Definitely. Actually, it's interesting you mentioned that. When I first came to the museum, we have a very large collection of Tibetan thangka. This is the one I couldn't look at without getting afraid, and I still have to be a little bit careful with it. And this raises a really important question, which is, Rinpoche, if you are going to meditate on these wrathful figures, which often involve imagery that is unconventional, can we say?
Yes.
You probably ought to be prepared for this, right?
Yeah. You change in the mind, you need unconventional. Conventional things cannot change in the mind. But conventional, then every day we see, that's nothing special. Something extraordinary you need to transform your mind. Because we have so much traumas. Yeah, people say they have so much traumas. I was telling people, always people talk traumas negative way, but I say, we don't have trauma something extraordinary way. You're extraordinarily traumatic, means like something deeply impact your consciousness. I think therefore, if you do practice this practice, you know the meaning, really you know the meaning, you know how to practice, and this practice deeply impact your consciousness. That's called meditation. So meditation is just only sit there, feel nothing. Of course, that's meditation, but real meditation is deeply impact your consciousness. That's real meditation. And these things have power and like that.
I had moved this over to this gentleman because I was really concerned that we explain why you need to have a teacher to teach you this stuff.
Oh yeah, teacher means like anything you have called sometimes teacher or lineage. Lineage means like you have everything has somewhere come from authentic place. They call that a lineage. I think all these things, how do you success your teacher, your practices? You meet the qualified teacher. That's really the qualification. Teacher is the call. You start in Vajrayana, you say you need someone has profound Vajrayana practice. You start in Dzogchen, we call it, then you start in Dzogchen. And then you have master, Dzogchen's master. You do in meditation, you need a meditation master. And these things are the teachers like that. Koramba Sunam Zongbo. Yeah, and that's really are the masters. Okay, you can move.
So I picked him for the guide example because the next painting that I'd like you to talk about, if you could, comes from the same monastery where Gorampa Sunam Singye studied, and it was created at about the same time. So he could easily have used this very painting.
This is what
it's Vajrabhairava. Yamantaka from Ngor Monastery.
Oh yeah. This, Yamantaka?
Yes.
This, three protectors we saw, Manjushri, appear wrathful form. This is a wrathful form of Manjushri, they call. And Yamantaka. I think this is, mandala, but a palace. Palace is, like the first we saw Art of Samsara. This is Art of Nirvana, you can call. Art of Nirvana. And, this is Art of Nirvana. That's paralyzed. First one, and this one paralyzed.
Parallels.
Paralyzed, okay. Other side cone. The other is the other side cone. This is the palace of enlightened beings. Okay? Good.
Now, for a lot of our visitors, it's kind of difficult to see what the geometries of three dimensions might look like. I wonder if you could say a little bit about that, perhaps?
Yeah, I think this is house, the palace. I think the gates, 4 gates there, and then this is center, and then the palace, the enlightened beings and living in like temple, and I think that's really and the surrounded by fire. Last fire means a gate protection called protection. They call that fire wall. Fire wall means like protection. That means no obstacles. No hindrance cannot come in. Everything, outside, then there's firewall. Negativity, obstacles, harmful, everything protect. That's really reason there's firewall, a sign, and symbolically. And then inside, there's 4 gates, and then also really the inner circle is the, enlightened beings reside there. That really are the palace about enlightened beings, and also Art of Nirvana.
And of course, all of you who have been into the exhibition know exactly who that little bitty guy at the center of the mandala is, right? He's the great big one in the next gallery. Okay, well, let's take a look at some of the objects that are in the exhibition that Tibetan Buddhist practitioners have used to help direct their mental trajectory. And here's one of our favorites.
This purba is called dagger, and I think this purba's dagger is many times they use this is the this is the call. Actually, this represents the palace of enlightenment. There's called practice called Vajrakalaya. Vajrakalaya is another meditation enlightened being, wrathful form, and that this purba daggers represent there are actual mandala, means their actual practice, and enlightened beings reside like that. I think therefore this use usually traditionally and then very sharp means like also destroy and a negativity. And negativity, harmful obstacles. And then people's life has negativity, they use this meditation. There's meditation yourself is a wrathful enlightened being. And this is where use, called liberating and negativities. This is another very special practice. I think I don't have the right language, but someone's really, you have the right language, this is the most powerful practice also, very, very beautiful practice. And also we do this practice also. And I have this, but this is, I have many instruments. There are many instruments, this is my favorite one. I like statues, but Purba is really my favorite one. I was, in Tibet somewhere, I don't have nothing, no money. I saw someone have selling this Purba, and I want to buy, but there's no way I can get this. And then my grandmother has, some money, her funeral to, left there. I says, I wanted that money because you're not died, therefore I need that money. And she gave me that money. I bought this Purba. Therefore, that's really, I was carry everywhere. And this is my favorite instrument. Like a Purba is really, really, statues, many things, but this has very beautiful meaning. Here, I know the meaning. If you know the meaning of this practice, this is extraordinary. And as they call form of protection, the protection like that. And also they can do many things. But that's just, therefore definitely, sometimes lamas, many things, they're carrying all the time their body. They carry all the time this in their body. They says what they do is remove obstacles, protect you any obstacles, injuries, sickness, disease, all they have. For example, my teacher, Khenpo Orgyen Rinpoche, he has always, here, like, for example, like this, here, this iPhone, and here, they put here, all the time. Always, day and night, he hold that. Therefore, many forms come from this ancient. This is very, very, I think ancient, like 500-700 years, this Purba you found is really expensive. People really paid millions of dollars, I think. It's a very, very special object to this, called Purba. It's really, yeah.
Rinpoche, this is where lamas and curators are completely on the same page. All of us love Purba more than anything else.
Yeah, and
are we borrowing Purba for this exhibition? Good, we get to do research with them.
Yes, very good. Thank
Perhaps
you.
we should show you a couple of more really interesting objects, and then we can open up for questions.
And this is knife. This knife, and to cook this called. This knife is symbolic. They hold wrathful beings. They hold this knife. That means symbolic cut ignorance. Therefore, cut ignorance and ego. Then they hold that. That's really sign. And the other thing is skull cup. Human skull cup. Human skull cup. They hold sometimes hands. But most of us hands they have. This human skull cup. What does that means? This represents free from concepts or judgments, and free from any kind, good and bad, clean, unclean, and that kind judgments, free. That sign. Then skull cup. Skull cup. People think of very fearful. A little bit dirty. You don't want to put skull cup there. A little bit. Some people afraid. And this means there's no fear, there's no concept, there's no good and bad. Go beyond that, then they have representative, and then they call it skull cup. It's not like that sign that. It's they call that skull cup. It's really, really sign. Therefore, transcending good, bad, positive, negative, and clean, unclean. That's really the skull cup is.
Rinpoche, speaking of transcending opposites, I was hoping you might have a couple of words to say to us about the ultimate transcending of opposites that appears in this art tradition and that has really baffled Western interpreters for probably a century. And this is the Yab-Yum imagery.
Yeah, this is image of Jamyong means like male-female union, and they have many meanings. One of the meaning is, like wisdom, compassion, unite wisdom, compassion, and unite skillful means wisdom, and also unite emptiness of bliss, and that represented. Also, the other is, everything's separation, man, separation, yeah. But called everything this world come from two things come together. Electricity, it comes together, two things. All babies come from two things. Everything, boom, samsara, nirvana, everything come to two things. You're not united, separate, nothing come. Therefore, and then two male-female unity is not separate, not fixate, not not reject each other. Unite, union means not separation, not separation. Yeah, not united, harmonious. Two energies unite. That's really. The other is talk about sexuality. And then. Talk about sexuality is there's entire talk about three levels. They call the tantas, outer tantas, inner tantas. They think these two different tantas. The more higher you have, the more you free from concepts, the more you become brave, the more you become fearless, and therefore. Sometimes this is also fearless and pure sexuality. And then also like that, in pure sexuality, because no hesitations. And then also sometimes no clothes wearing. Vajrayogin is no clothes wearing. That's pure, free of concepts, judgments, religious judgment, ordinary judgments means they're good and bad, positive and negative, but they're all gone, therefore, the union is like that. But union has many different lower meanings, like that. I think, that's really ultimate, called highest Vajrayana teachings comes like this. Highest Vajrayana teaching. All, highest teachings have union. The more you go lower, it's separated. And the more you lower goes, wearing everything's clothes up, more conservative. They call the more worldly you are, that's more conservative. The more free, the more you become unite or more become, not wearing anything. They call free sign or like that. There are many different things, like that. Also, here also another representative is mostly world is, like anger, there's another connect, it's sexuality, and what they say is the more sexuality is distorted, polluted, the more you have hesitations, the more you separations, the more you separation. But the more you free from your mind with the distortions, pollutions, the more there's unite, embracing like that. Therefore, there are many different ways to introduce. I think that's enough. That's really our unite means not separation, but unite, harmonize man and woman's energy most purest way. Because someone's mind is no anger, no jealousy, no envy, no ego, all things free. Then unite is to really united. But someone's really mind is dominant, anger, jealousy, envy, all this control. Even you physically unite, but mentally you are separate. You understand what that means? Your physical union, people are always making love or doing many things, but mentally they are separate. Mentally they are not united because their hesitations, doubts, judgments create them, farther away. But they say, when you free from concepts, judgments, and hesitations, anger, jealousy, desire, all these things dissolve, then you physically unite, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually united. That's real union. And then this is talk about that real union, and not just only one level united, the other level your conflict. And that really means, ultimately, the most extraordinary experience means you're physically united, mentally, emotionally, everywhere you united, harmonious experience. That really represents called Yum Tibetan called the male-female energy completely united, without any separation, without any hesitation, without any judgment, without anything, you and me, totally unite. That's represent that. Most people understand somewhere sexual union very ordinary way. It's not like ordinary way, very most extraordinary, beautiful way. You can do, that's really this image is enlightened art. And also there's so much teachings about that. Teachings about what is this, how do you do that, what conditions you need, what meditations you can do. The whole entire, there's a Secret Essence Tantra, Ngehen Garba Tantra teaches all that. This is all part of Art of Enlightenment, Art of Union, ultimate union. And that's realism. Then we stop there, yeah?
I think that is an awesome point. As William Blake said,
become a destination, That's Jeff's destination, here.
Right there. That was so exciting and so interesting that I am certain that our visitors are going to have a lot of questions for you, Rinpoche.
Yes.
Okay, here it is.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
I just wondered if you wanted to say something about the fact that once secret practices that were never ever shared with outsiders are represented in this exhibit and in Tibetan and Tantric Buddhism as a whole. For example, with Kala Chakra and other practices that were once held and guarded.
Yes.
And the fact that this is being opened up to everyday people means that there's a large group of lay practitioners now that are practicing without entering a temple or being monks.
Yes.
And so is the significance also of this exhibit that those of us that are lay practitioners can participate in these things, and do you have any encouragement for all of us as such? Thank you.
Yes. I think, I think first, number one is understand meaning is the most important one. Understand meaning, then you really experience. Therefore, I think reading books, but I don't know how much their translation. I think once you, I think this is very important. Asian museum also introduction like this, and then people future, and also you can put a little bit description, a little bit clearly, and I think writing some description about that, and also this kind is very important. We do today. This lecture gave a little bit more opportunity understanding art. I think the other thing is I recommend is reading books about this and also receive teachings about this. There's such a rich culture of this area, and I think right now what we really see is world is different periods time, so much conflict. I think I see these teachings are timely, really relevant. I was giving many people these kind of teachings, but people really, really receptive, benefit. Therefore, I think receive these kind of teachings and look at art is very important. Yes.
We have one more here.
Okay, one more.
Speaking in the mic.
Okay.
Rinpoche, the novel coronavirus, as it's called, is in the Bay Area now. We at least two separated cases means at least two clusters. There's no such thing as one case. If this becomes a big outbreak, there will be much suffering, and much fear.
Yeah.
What advice will you give us?
Yes, I think you need to have, see what the advice, doctors there. I think that's important, or regular way. I think spiritually, I think you need to have more fearless mind, and you need to have mindfulness, what you do. At the same time, I think meditation, there's some... I'm doing just some mantras. They're doing mantras sometimes protecting many different things. People recommend ancient times they're doing mantras, particularly design different sicknesses, and then we need to make sure everything's we take care ordinarily what the doctor says, and same time we're doing some mantras. There's mantras called the Vajra armor mantra. This is a very special mantra. I think mantra can protect also people doing that, and then also doing the meditation, and then reduce your fear, anxiety. I think that's very important. I don't have other than that. That's really I do. Thank you. You have some. Yes.
So from what I read, to be serious about Vajrayana, you usually go through a very intensive study period in traditional Mahayana tradition. So all the images and kind of segments of teaching floating out there about Vajrayana, but people get access to that without really go through the Mahayana training. And especially some point you mentioned earlier, it is something special, but now it's kind of become a daily object to some of us.
Yes.
Its special meaning has been diminished. So
exactly.
I kind of want to get your perspective on that.
Good.
Do you see are we heading the right way?
I think not really, actually. First, I think first your question is go before Mahayana. And sometimes people do that, but that's really, right now. But ancient times, they go directly. Most people didn't study in Mahayana. They go to maybe in India or like early Tibetan. We have that time everybody doing only one practice. Now it's multiple practice. I think you can do Mahayana teaching, studying, then it's go to Vajrayana. But you can directly also go to Vajrayana. That's really tradition, ancient. There are two different ways to do that. I think you said that's true. Right now we see images, we feel nothing, and then we don't need nothing because we don't know the meaning. But the right way is doing in the very ancient times is if you know the meaning, then you see it much more powerful. I think that's really right way to do. And also, you don't know the meaning, then after you know the meaning, that's become more powerful. That's true. Therefore, and I think all these things are called enlightened art, enlightened images, sounds can improve your life and transform your life. That's really art. I think we use also, there are many museums everywhere. Many museums, people look in all entire world, they go to museums, just see the regular images. You look at ordinary images, you feel, you have experience ordinary. But you look at the extraordinary images, then you have experienced something extraordinary. Therefore, I was telling people, I don't need many ordinary images enough. I need something extraordinary experience. Therefore, if you know something extraordinary experience, and the world is really different, world is so alive, and then that means you need to look at the extraordinary images. I think, and also a little bit meditation means knowing the meaning and then focus, and that's very important. And then things appear more beautifully, and all images become beautiful. Then I was telling people, I went to someone's living room, and he or she is meditation practitioners. I went to, but everything's ordinary image. I was saying, if you look in here, you stay here, and if you see everything's image, you feel nothing. But I say, you stay here, your living room, you look there, something extraordinary image, like that Manjushri or that, and you look there, you can look there, you feel something extraordinary. I like my house, living room, different places have the different images. I'm looking here, I look that image and connect that. There's something extraordinary like that. That's really an art looking. It's not just only you do, but you stay somewhere and you see something extraordinary. Not everything's, like furnitures and couches, paintings, but you see something extraordinary. It gives that moment peace, mind, and also uplifting energy. Therefore, I design sometimes, and I know the meaning, therefore, more powerful for me. I think that's really another way to look at the enlightened images. Therefore, my bottom line is the more you know the meaning, the more you increase that energy.
Hi, thank you so much for sharing today.
Okay.
Sorry, I have a really quick question. You're talking about the enlightened and the inspiring image, but could you please share a bit about inspiring sounds?
Sounds, yeah. Sounds means like words like music, or like sometimes called Vajra songs. Vajra songs, for example, how do you use words, words, vocabulary. Words of vocabulary, you use like 60-70% positive words every day. Let's say today you 70 positive words you use, 70. That means you have majority your experiences positive because you're using the word. Let's say today you using, I don't like, I hate that, this is a crazy person, that. You're using negative words and every day. And that day you have feeling, bad day, you're feeling not good. How much you every day depend how much you using positive word or negative words. And that means, sound means something like, say, for example, your mind is calm, clear, boundless, blissful, let's say. These 4 words, calm, clear, boundless, blissful. These 4 words has power, and then the more you hear that, the more you feel internally there's energy and different experiences. And therefore, that kind of sound. And also, especially the meditation, there's also called Vajra songs. Vajra songs is a beautiful meaning, and traditionally meditators, they singing every day. And you singing these powerful words and every day, and that means you feel that day is such extraordinary. Therefore, you look, says you use negative words more, you see, you creates unhappiness. Someone says, I don't like that. You go street, your partner tells you that, next few minutes you feel uncomfortable using that word, you see? And then most people unconsciously don't know what the words they use. And therefore say, today's a beautiful day. You say that, few moments creates some light feeling, Therefore, and that really sounds creating, experiences. And the other is some music, music don't have any language. And then some music, like have no language, just pure music create a little bit tranquility, calmness, that's it. The words can create experiences, and also pure sound can create experiences. Therefore, the The another tool they use is sound, can transform your mind. Image can transform your mind. The other things, what you thinking is transform your mind. You're thinking positive, then you feel positive. Thinking negative, you feel negative. Thinking something extraordinary. Like like my mind is thinking Pamma Sambhava, Guru Rinpoche, then I feel extraordinary. Because like almost like a image can radiate your mind. Yeah, radiance your thoughts, emotions. And then the image is very powerful. And then the thoughts, emotions, effects, like almost there's radiant, everything shiny, your thoughts, emotions. The image is negative, then create negative experience. That's really sound means like sound, music, or something extraordinary words can transform your mind. That's really our mean.
And I think we have time for just 2 more.
Okay.
Okay, wait. Aren't I now?
다시 rinpoche my name is Tenzin Chotar. I'm a young Tibetan American. I think as a young Tibetan American, I'm obviously trying to learn more about my culture and like nurture, right, Tibetan Buddhism. I'm with my Tibetan Buddhism class, so it's me and a couple other students. I'm co-president of the Tibetan Student Union, which is the Tibetan club at Stanford University. So I'm trying to learn more and more. Well, what do you think is the most common misconception for Westerners, Tibetan Americans? What's the biggest misconception they have regarding Tibetan Buddhism?
Something very, exotic religion. Like only Tibetan culture, they think, something not really practical. Sometimes people think the Tibetan belief system is not that. It's actually, I think the wrong name in Tibetan Buddhism is the wrong name. I don't like that name. It's not Tibetan Buddhism. It's actually, they don't say Chinese Buddhism or Indian Buddhism. They don't say, why say Tibetan Buddhism? That's, I think that, and then also, I think sometimes people think, many, other people think someone, they don't understand in this meaning, this too much images. I think their own preconceived notions, their own judgments, and sometimes handle, and especially union like this, they don't understand. But that means, I think we need to have good introduction. It's not their problem, it's our problem. We need to give, clarify general public what is really this meaning is. I think then next time I was thinking I want to write book about introduction of these things, especially talk today about union, about this wrath for many forms. I think these things have good introduction. I think then we have no misunderstanding. I think so far there are many introductions, but not clear explanations. But I think I really wanted, really, this is, if you know how to make really clear explanations, most powerful, most juicy, I say juicy. Very juicy and very practical, very transformative, and very blissful. On my own, I was spent time in here in Tibet, and I came to U.S. I go to many different places, not just only meditation. I go to, like places like Stanford University and teaching meditation. There, 2 days, last few days I done that, and I'll go to St. Contents, many different places. The reason is, if you know how to introduce, everybody can understand these things. Everybody can. But only things you need to have right language and the right language, I think accurate language and understanding meaning. And then have good lineage. And then I think we need to clarify everything. Very most beautiful way introduce. I think that's we need. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, thanks. Hi, I wanted to go right to back to the very beginning of this talk. So the Wheel of Life.
Yes.
You said that all of that is contained within ego.
Yes.
But ego isn't actually a Buddhist word. It's a Western word that's used very loosely in different contexts. So I'm wondering if you might want to clarify what you mean by that.
Ego means, I think the translate is of Dagden Zimban. Dagden means holding yourself certain way. Means you identify, I am good, any I am is ego. I am this, I'm that. You believe you're certain, you believe you're this body, this mind together, there's something who you are. I think that's called ego or like identification. You identify certain, like I'm loser, it's ego. I'm something very special person, it's ego. Anything you something identify, but you are not that, it's ego. It really means like, and that really means unhealthy sense of self. Very unhealthy is, I think that's called, dak means like self, and zimba means holding yourself, counterproductive ways. And I think that's really the source of the anger, source of jealousy, source of ignorance, source obsession. Everything comes holding yourself certain way. And that, I think that's really the first image. Where's first image?
Bhava chakra?
Oh yeah, that's where you see tightly hold, these four hands like that. And that really called, the holding identification, you don't want to let go. It's very hold. And that really creates all negative emotions, samsara. And then they call wheel of samsara or art of samsara. Art of samsara, you can, either way you can say that. And this is the usually here explanation of the samsara that. Okay? Yeah. You welcome. Oh yeah.
Hi, thank you so much,
You're
both,
welcome.
both for you, Rinpoche, and Jeff for this very enlightening talk. I was wondering, Rinpoche, if you could answer this. Can the long-standing, uninterrupted, dedicated practice of observing extraordinary objects like we've seen,
Yes.
can that transform how you see ordinary objects?
Yes, that's really, yeah. Because once your mind is become extraordinary and you see everything's extraordinary, that says. And when your mind is ordinary, then even you see something extraordinary, you see ordinary. But once your mind is become extraordinary, say your hands clean, then everything you touch, like that. And then similarly, once your mind is extraordinary, then everything, ordinary experience is transformed, become extraordinary. Yeah, that's really the entire. It's not like you avoid an ordinary experience, but I think that's really entire. This image is called transform the world. And because first we use these images, but later we don't need to use any at all. Because one certain point, you don't need to use all these images at all. Without using, you can't have that experience. And they call, this is, I was, went to, last 3 years, I went to Bhutan, 2015, I was chance to many San Francisco people, they asked me to go to Bhutan with them, partly doing meditation, partly, go hiking, other things. I said yes, we went to 2015, Bhutan, and then what is really a change in their lives actually. And then first they want to go many places, then we went to the temples and caves, Padmasambhava's place, we did meditation, but people totally changing their lives actually. These things are not meditation, if they'll do a little bit meditation, but later they're very interesting of this kind of images, because then they have really, really big impact after that. And then they want to go back 2017, yeah? I went to 2017, then they want to go back 2018, they want to, I took them to 2018, they want to go to this year, they want to get, like that. They just, once you create something extraordinary, it's very blissful. And it's a very tangible experience. And I think they say, you focus something extraordinary and you feel extraordinary. I think that's really this image is, very easy to introduce. And therefore, I hope that I was telling people, no, I think, we can, people design houses and also cars. I think we can design experience. A design experience, certain conditions put together, you feel experience certain different. You feel images, you see different images, extraordinary. You hear many different extraordinary sound, words. You cultivate different kind thoughts, emotions. I think you feel you have experienced something extraordinary. Therefore, you can design experiences. I think that's really a meditation is, design different experiences. That's really how about this image is representative. And we just, many years in Asian museum, we use this, but really that's really reason they call this is not ordinary culture, enlightened culture. Therefore, something more profound here that. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, I think that's a perfect segue into thanking you so much for today. This was extraordinary, wasn't it?
Thank you
so much, Rinpoche and Jeff.
Thank you.
We're honored to have you here. And now you can go visit the exhibition with new eyes and look for the extraordinary pieces. Jeff has designed an amazing experience for you to go through. And our artist, the thangka painter, is downstairs demonstrating his thangka painting. So I hope you'll go down and enjoy all of that today. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you all very much for coming.